Hi, this is Steve Hosher with RazorGage, and I'm going to explain how to set up a cut list in Parts List Processor for the haunching system when you have a combo, what we call a Morso combo, where you have a Morso notcher or hauncher and a chop saw so that you can cut parts to length and put the notches in them for beaded face frames. So I'm in the parts list processor. So this is where you take the RZG file that you get from Planet and you convert it to the file that can be opened on your RazorGage Autolist software. And this is different than the HAU files that also are output by Planet, which are used for doing the notches in the beaded face frame. So first, the parts get cut to length using the RZG file, and then second, they get haunched using the HAU files. But at the beginning of the whole process is converting the RZG file to the RDB file, the RazorGage database file. So I'm in the parts list processor, which you install usually in the office. Click configuration, I choose RazorGage with Autolist, and I make sure none of these other check boxes are checked, and click update configuration. Then I click mapping. I'm going to make this screen fit within my video window here. Let's take a second. Okay, so enter the extension for your parts files. You type in RZG right here. Make sure this says comma instead of semicolon. Skip 0 lines, then open a parts file. So this RZG file is created by Planet, your Planet software, and this is what it looks like. Now we're going to click Load a Default Mapping, click RZG, Load Mapping. It says I need to save it, which I'm going to do right now, but I need to make a change to the standard mapping when we're using it for haunchers, a combo cell. So I'm going to I can't get the whole thing in the window, so I'm going to scroll over here. Maybe I just need to move it so you can see. Okay, so now you can see this. So at the far right, there's a column 15, not used. And you'll see that these numbers, like this R250004, etc., these are the names of the files that the HAU files or hauncher files that Planet creates. So we are going to change this to, I'm going to change it to user field 5, and it can be any user field, doesn't matter. And then I'm going to move this back over here. It's kind of awkward with trying to fit all this in the screen. Okay, so down here in Edit Display Labels, User Field 5, I'm going to change that to Hauncher File. And now if I go back over here, you'll see that that's what this heading says, Hauncher File. Now, I'm going to save column mapping and display labels. So now what I've done is I have mapped the column that Planet added to the RZG file. This extra column has the file name for the hauncher files. So I took our standard RZG mapping and I added one more column, that I mapped one more column and put it in user field 5. And again, it can be in any user field, it doesn't matter. So at this point, now you're in the parts list processor, you're going to want to print the mapping. So I am going to just take a screenshot of this rather than print it, and I'll minimize it to get it out of the way. You'll print it on your printer and you'll take that out to the machine with you. So after we've done the mapping, now you only have to do that once as a setup when you first get everything going. After you've got it set up, from then on, all you have to do when you want to run a file is you click Open Up Parts List Processor and you click this Convert a Comma Delimited file to a RazorGage file. And once again, it doesn't fit. Okay, so I click Open Parts File, and then this is my RZG file. Here it is. I am going to create a RazorGage parts file, save it. In this case, I've already created it. Oh, it won't let me do that because I have it open in Autolist here. Okay, so I'm going to just go through that again. And it's been created. Okay, so I'm done in Parts List Processor. I'm going to minimize that now. Let's pretend we've walked out to the machine. And this is trying to fit it in the viewing window here. Okay, so now I'm in the Autolist. There we go. Now we're getting where it fits. Okay, so from the RazorGage, you would go click Autolist screen, open file, open your RDB file that we just created. Now, what we see here, we only see material, width, thickness, part, length, etc. So I'm going to click Settings and Configure. And now I'm going to refer to my printed list here and type in the rest of the fields. So basically, quantity, part, material, width, length is all good. Material, width, quantity, part. So we're going to start here with user field 4. I'm just going to look at user field 4 off my printed list. User field 4 was cabinet number. So I'm going to type in cabinet number for user field 4. And then user field 1, well actually I'll go to user field 1 is room name. User field 2 is room number. User field 3 is cabinet name. User field 4 is cabinet number, which we already did. User field 5 is hauncher file. Okay, and I don't think any of the others, yeah, we don't need any of the others. So I'm going to save changes, and I'm also going to go back into configure now. Here I can just show which ones of these I want to display. We definitely want hauncher file. You can display the ones that you want. Then click done. So now here's the list, and now we can see all this information. Here's the hauncher file. And so now if you had it on your big RazorGage screen, you'd be able to see all these columns and not have to scroll. And if you want, you can not display certain things. You know, I've got them all displayed now. So if I went back into settings and click configure and say I don't want to display width or thickness or cabinet number, and save those changes. Now I have less stuff here to deal with. Also, if I want to display a certain item, when I click an item, you can see it displays information here in our virtual label, and I can set what shows up there by going into settings and labels. And so if I show, let's say the second row, we choose hauncher file and save, then when I click one, it shows that hauncher file number. So I'll cut these parts using Autolist, which is done by, if you can watch our other Autolist videos, but you click enter length and enter the clear span that you have available, and then it will show you the optimize a cut list to make the best use of your material. And when you hit part cut, it crosses that line off. Now if I have say 96 of clear material, you can see it shows several, and as I cut the parts, it'll move to the position after each time, and it crosses off the stuff that gets cut. So now I'm going to go back to main. Now when I go to Notcher screen and click open board file, here are the files, and you can see these numbers match up with, are the same kind of number that appear in that column in the Autolist screen. So that's how you tie the hauncher files to the Autolist, the parts that you cut using Autolist. If you have a label printer, you can print that label off when you cut it here in Autolist, and then you can just read it when you read it off the label when you do the hauncher file. Yeah, otherwise you can just write it on the board so that you know which file that part belongs with. So I hope this has been interesting. If you have questions, call us at RazorGage, and thanks a lot and have a great day.